here, Alix here. It's been a long time. Welcome to Love in Waves and another episode. It's been over 2 months, and I want to just thank you for your patience if you've been waiting and your grace and all that good stuff. And I did put a community post in a couple months ago. My father had passed, and I took some time, of course, for that, which turned out to be, he was the closest person I've ever had in my life, and it just really turned out to be an incredible, interesting experience to lose someone that close to me that I love so dearly, and of course still love, and being able to experience him in a whole new way on other dimensions, which since my own spiritual awakening, I had no idea what that could be and how beautiful that could be. So I may go into that, I may not, but I just wanted to say I took a little time for that. And then the holidays hit. And then I actually went through a really interesting process that I just wanted to share a little bit about with you guys as I get into today's topic, which is really about unbecoming, really stepping into who you really are by unbecoming what we thought we were, right? So this is, in a way, sanctifying the ego that we have, so many things that we've identified with, ways that we've made ourselves separate, special, different, in some ways seemingly positive, but in other ways not so much, depending on the type of ego that you have and how you interact with the world. But really all these levels of separation consciousness that have created, just this just turmoil, really always looking outside of ourselves, trying to control the situations, hanging on to the things that we want to have more of, and letting go of the things and running away from the things that we're afraid of, and really ultimately losing the truth of who we are. And so this unbecoming conversation is what I'm going to have with you today, because we do need to unbecome all the things that we've made true for ourselves in order to actually step into purpose, which is our authenticity. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about here a little bit today. So again, I went through this process after the holidays where I recognized I was like really going into, and you'll notice this in my last videos, and I'm still super interested in the content, but I was beelining it towards my left brain masculine side of really diving into the quantum morphogenetic science. And I was going to get a PhD in this, and because it's so fascinating and it just brings all of that linear, quantum physics and all of this right at that spearhead of spirituality. It just brings it all kind of together. But I realized that it was going to take me on a few years of the linear, and that's exactly what I'm letting go of, and moving into the non-linear, into the 500s, 540s, 600s, 700s in terms of the scale of consciousness, which means I'm moving into these higher realms of 5D, 6D, 7D, and beyond. And that's actually where I've been residing most of the time, but I found myself clinging to this linear aspect to try to somehow show other people, whether guiding them through the linear into the nonlinear, which is really what I feel is very helpful about the content and the information. But there was also, I think, even some hidden parts of my own ego that made me want to feel more worthy, more significant, more, like I had something different and new to bring to people, which I don't know if that was really my ego or not, but I was definitely watching that to make sure that I didn't develop that, because there's also a thing called a spiritual ego, where as you're rising up in consciousness and you're busting through old paradigms and you're moving up, where you can easily start to like take that on as a new level of superiority or something. And so I'm always checking that humility and knowing that at any level that I get to and everything that I'm doing is truly not of my own making. It's more undoing, more unbecoming what I'm not. And so that's what I want to share just a little bit here today. I'm going to dive way more into this and continue on this path of really bridging those two worlds of the linear and the nonlinear as you are watching everything that's no longer supporting the highest and best for humanity, for the world, for the planet, for the cosmos, for everything, is falling away as we move into higher and higher frequencies, higher and higher oscillation of light, and this is encoding within us, within the planet, within everything. And therefore, we must let go of the structures, the things that we make matter, that are heavy, that are dense, that are no longer in alignment with these higher realms. And we become lighter, we become more gracious, we actually merge back together from this separation consciousness, from seeing everything as separate, different, alone, scary, needing to control in order to feel safe, and instead into trust and what's the word I'm looking for? Faith. right? That there's something greater that's happening here. We are moving up together and re-merging to re-emerge as the one that we are. We're moving into unity consciousness, into that Christ consciousness. This has been prophesied forever, right? And this is what just happens during these actual cosmic cycles with our entire universe, with the planet, with the solar system. And of course, within us, because we are made of the earth, we are made of the elements of the earth, but we are also made of the elements of the stars, of the cosmic, greater than us, those forces that we either align with or that we move against. When we move against, it means we're going with our free will, which is to say we can move with the basically the consciousness that is always all giving, all loving, all not necessarily love in the way that we define it here in the third dimension, but loving in the sense that it is in the highest order and harmony for all. Or we go with the ego, which is our separate mind, which is what we think is us, that we've defined as us because we have the ability, the creativity of God, of higher source. We get to make that of our own. And if we go against the harmony, then when we go with the ego, then we create all these distortions in our lives and this separation consciousness. This is all coming into correction over the next number of thousands of years, but we're feeling it now. We're seeing it in every structure. And I know I talk about this a lot. So to bring this to a halt and to a close here today is just kind of coming back after being gone for a long time. It's all about unbecoming. So rather than going with that PhD program, my left brain, and going more into the linear and almost getting caught in the weeds of trying to explain it, I decided instead to take almost all of January, the end of December and all of January, not knowing I was going to do this, but it just kind of unfolded, going more into my deeper feminine, right? Moving into the womb, into the creative space of letting go of all of that, to taking much deeper care even of my own personal space, my own flow, my own feminine flow, my health, my time off, my dance, like all of the things, but moving away from the mind, more meditation, more all of those things, but instead moving away from the mind and realizing that it's time to really cultivate the higher aspects of intuition, of being able to download the information that I want, to use this vessel to express and to use the knowledge that I've already gained, but in service to the soul that wants to express to you. So it's not about regurgitating something that I'm learning that has already been translated by someone else, but instead getting divine, direct downloads of what needs to come through now, through this vessel, and being in the feminine space of being that vessel, of being willing, showing up with you and being willing to allow something to come through while letting go of and undoing the knowing, and instead the trusting that what needs to come through will come through. So I'm unlearning everything that I'm realizing doesn't matter. It's someone else's translation. As I cultivate and strengthen my own abilities to tune into all that is, to get direct cognition from the higher realms, from above the linear mind. And I say above, it's really, and I'll explain this in a very soon video, it's actually just other dimensions of us that we are able to lessen and lighten the veils of perception so that we're able to have access to these other dimensions and perceptions. That's really what we're doing as we're growing. And I know I share this all the time, right? The different dimensions and the different paradigms, the scale of consciousness. Literally, we will get into how that really is just thinning the veils of perception that allow us to then tune in and tap in with all of our own clair senses, right? So claircognizance, clairaudience, all the clairs, all of the intuitive ways that we are meant to use. And then on come the gifts of being able to heal, not from an egoic place, but from an actual just being a vessel for when someone is asking for that healing, to be able to carry the frequencies high enough for that healing to pass through. It's amazing. So it's a lot of undoing, a lot of unbecoming, a lot of letting go of what we think and have defined as who we are and what we believe that are actually have limited us from an egoic standpoint into a separated being that we now need to protect and, make sure everything outside of us is in the right proper order in order to feel safe and to function. But instead, having the faith and the trust to let go, know that you're a vessel, and know that all of this is just going to come through by unbecoming, by undoing, by unlearning. and just knowing and trusting that it's going to come through. And all of the gifts that you've been given, right? Maybe it's the gift of being able to speak on YouTube or something, or whatever your unique divine gifts are, will be utilized fully. They are what make you who you are. So yes, we're not all one in the same that we're all the same. We're all one in the sense that we all come from the same place. We are all aspects of the same one thing, but we are different unique apertures of it. And our ego is meant to just be that unique expression that we are. But we have, again, from our free will, have distorted so much of the choices that we've made because we've had that free will freedom to be able to do that. And now we are in this correction mode of let all that stuff coming up, letting go of the distortion and coming back into alignment, and letting go and unlearning, coming back into the divinity where we can still be our unique expression, our unique ego, without it being distorted anymore, and it being a pure way of expressing with your gifts what is true, what is coming through clearly, because you are now an open pool for that to come through. That open, in my case, like letting go of the mind and moving more into that vessel space. Of course, I need both sides, right? This is the whole inner union that I talk about all the time, the masculine, feminine. But I was swinging too far to the masculine, and now I'm like went all the way over to the feminine, and now I'm like again weaving and tightening up that nuance of of both of these energies. Of course, I'm more feminine, right? That's my natural essence, and so I needed to step deeper into that and trust more of that. I need very little structure to be able to do this and holding that space to be able to let all of this out. And it's just a beautiful thing to recognize and to see. And I hope you're tracking with me. I'm very much hoping you're tracking with me on this. But it's a beautiful thing to realize that you come to a point where it's like, okay, I'm full. I'm done. I'm full. I've learned everything that I need to learn. I love this perspective. There's infinite numbers of perspectives. It is now time to let it go and to get silent, to get still, to ask for my own personal clarity from what I understand to be true, and the willingness and the desire to let go of anything that no longer serves, to become a vessel for what it is that's in the highest and the best for all, so that your soul can begin to embody and to use you as an instrument of it. And you become more of the witness of what's happening in your life, where everything that's flowing and happening is like, you get to watch it and you're being lived almost by the soul. And this is where we're all moving to in the fifth dimension and above, and out of the density of the third. And so again, in looking at the different levels of consciousness, I'm talking about moving up into these higher levels here, where you're just going to experience more joy, understanding, inner wisdom, oneness, presence, loving, like just reverence for life. And that changes your entire experience because, again, you're unlocking the veils that are allowing you to have a more full, true experience rather than a limited, egoic, fear-based level, right? Neither is better than the other. It's just part of the soul's progression and process. But what I'm sharing with you here is literally moving into that nonlinear, into those loving spaces where your reality can be very different than the person next to you. And yet you can't judge the other person because you have the deepest compassion, because you understand that they are just where they are. And they're making choices from the level that they have the capability of making choices from what they can see from where they are. And there's just amazing unconditional love that resides there. How can you not see that, right? So yeah, that's what I want to share. I know that's a lot. It's been a while, like I said, and I'll dive into all these different angles and continue. I want to thank you again for being on my channel, and for your likes and subscribes and shares, and love to hear your comments. And I'm going to be going through all my comments for the last 2 months over the next actually probably over this whole weekend. I want to get to all of you as best I can. And yeah, and then I'm just going to be back online, and my daughter is helping me with getting everything out so I can just let things flow and serve you as deeply as possible. So let me know what you want, and I will be back soon. Thank you so much for your attention, and have a great rest of your day.